So you want to own a logistics company, not to drive a truck, not to load boxes, to control the invisible machine that decides which truck goes where and who gets paid what for it. Here's the business in one sentence. A company needs a truckload of goods moved from Dallas to Chicago, and it's willing to pay $2,000 for it. A trucking company will do that exact job for $1,700. The person who sits in the middle, who found both sides and made the connection happen, keeps the difference, $300. That's a freight broker, and that spread, repeated across millions of loads a year, is the foundation of a trillion-dollar industry.
Let's follow one person building this from scratch. Call her Maria. She has $40,000 saved and no trucking experience. Getting her broker authority from the federal government costs around $300. A surety bond, required to protect shippers if she ever fails to pay a carrier, costs roughly $10,000, though most brokers finance it monthly instead of paying it up front. Software, a phone line, a laptop. All in, Maria launches for under $15,000, keeping the rest as a cash cushion, because that cushion is about to matter more than anything else in her business. Her first month goes fine. She books a handful of loads, earns her $300 spreads, and starts to believe this is easy. Then Thursday happens. A hurricane shuts down a port in Houston. The trucking market she quoted a shipper on Monday has completely shifted by the time the truck is supposed to leave. Her $2,000 load now needs a $2,100 carrier to actually move it. She either eats the loss to keep her word, or she scrambles for a cheaper truck and risks the shipper walking away entirely. This is the decision every broker eventually faces. Take the loss to protect the relationship, or protect the margin and risk the reputation. Maria eats the loss. It costs her $400. It also teaches her the lesson that separates the brokers who last from the ones who don't. The spread is never guaranteed, and the market punishes anyone who forgets that.
Now, here's the part almost nobody explains before they get into this. Even when the math works, the money doesn't move fast. Maria has to pay her carriers within a matter of days, but her own shippers might take 30, sometimes 60 days to pay her back. That gap has to be covered by cash sitting in her account, and for a growing brokerage, that gap gets wider every time business gets better. Growth in this industry can bankrupt a company faster than a slow month ever could, because more loads means more cash tied up waiting to come home. If Maria eventually buys her own trucks instead of just brokering, the economics change completely. Now she owns the fuel bill, the insurance, the maintenance, and the driver's paycheck, whether the truck is moving or sitting empty at a loading dock for 6 hours waiting on a warehouse crew. That waiting has a name, detention. And while carriers are technically owed a fee for it, collecting that fee is a fight most owners lose more often than they win.
This is exactly the trap that caught Yellow Corporation, once one of the largest trucking companies in America, employing around 30,000 people. For decades, Yellow expanded aggressively, took on heavy debt, and operated on margins so thin that a single bad stretch could threaten the entire company. In 2023, that's exactly what happened. Not one dramatic event, just years of thin margins meeting the wrong moment, and the company collapsed. The lesson for Maria, and for anyone building a logistics company, is direct. Revenue can look enormous, while the margin underneath it is one bad month away from disappearing. So what does success actually look like, with real assumptions attached? A single owner-operator running one truck after fuel, insurance, and maintenance might realistically clear $60,000 to $90,000 a year. Solid income, but it depends entirely on which lanes he runs and how consistently the truck stays loaded. Maria's brokerage, once she's booking 50 loads a week at an average $250 margin, generates roughly $650,000 a year before overhead. The kind of number that starts attracting buyers if she keeps it consistent for a few years running.
So here's the answer to the question this video started with. The real opportunity in logistics was never about owning trucks. It's about controlling relationships, information, and volume. Knowing which shippers trust you, which carriers will show up, and having enough cash reserved to survive the weeks when the math turns against you. The people who win in this business aren't the ones who move the most freight. They're the ones who still have cash in the account when everyone else runs out of it.